in your living room, office, and everywhere, anywhere. We provide the company you desire in terms of balanced and up-to-date news, programs, and the best of entertainment. Tune in to DSTV channel 251, GoTV channel 91, Freeview channel 264, or live streaming via www.visiontv.co.uk. Application for iOS or Android. You can also see us on Facebook and YouTube for quality content on the go. NTA International, Africa's window to the world.
Anybody who is exposed can contract coronavirus, but not everybody has a fair chance of surviving the disease. Data has shown that older persons stand a higher risk of dying. Are you 55 years and above? Do you have pre-existing health conditions? Please safeguard yourself and minimize your risk. Observe all COVID-19 protocols.
If you hear of anyone with high fever, dry cough, and difficulty in breathing, please do not go near such a person because they could be a victim of coronavirus infection. Call someone else or the NCDC to assist. Please use your prescribed medications regularly. Exercise around your home and eat well so that you can remain healthy and strong. For an older adult, to beat coronavirus is not to contract it at all.
This message is brought to you by Gerontology Association of Nigeria, the Geriatrics Association of Nigeria, and Dave Mokoro Foundation in conjunction with the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
These days, people get their news and information from more media sources than ever before. Some of the news and information given are fake, unverified, doctored, and manufactured to create confusion, stir disaffection, and cause disunity. Before you believe or share any news, ask yourself, is this real? Is it from a credible source? Is it verified or verifiable?
Tell us, if you cannot stop, I can shoot you.
Police assures unsafe rescue of abducted Kagara students as escape of lone abductee raises glimmer of hope. Nigeria exits recession with 0.11% growth rate.
We have the Pfizer BioNTech. Those here right now.
NAFDAC approves 2 COVID-19 vaccines for emergency use. And President Buhari applauds outgoing Nigerian Republic President, extols his democratic poise and principles. It's a lovely Thursday evening and thanks for joining us on NTN Network News. We are live in Abuja and I am Joseph Johnson. Tonight, Hingano will be reading from Lagos Network Center, and of course Suleiman in Kaduna will join us a little later. President Muhammadu Buhari says the outgoing administration of Muhammadu Isufu in the Republic of Niger deserves accolades for keeping meticulously to the country's constitution with respect to the forthcoming runoff polls scheduled for later this month. This was while receiving in audience former Nigerian Vice President Mohammed Namadi Sambo, who is ECOWAS head of mission on the elections in Niger Republic. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo has details.
No clear winner has emerged in the first round of voting in Nigerian presidential election, thus compelling a runoff set for February 21st. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulated the ECOWAS mission led by Nigeria's Mohammed Namadi Sambo on the peaceful and orderly conduct of the polls in line with the provision of Nigerian constitution. He noted that as the nation's very close neighbor, the peace of the country must matter to Nigeria. As he puts it during the closed-door engagement, neighborliness, whether national or individual, is very important, as the peace of your neighbor or lack of it may also affect your own well-being. President Buhari wished the Republic of Niger, as well as the Namadi Sambo-led ECOWAS mission, best of luck as the runoff polls hold over the weekend. The former Vice President Muhammad Namadi Sambo had told the president that campaigns have been peaceful thus far as contending political parties seal deals and alliances for outright victory. In the first round of election, Mohamed Bazoum, former Minister of Interior and Foreign Affairs, led with 39.33% of the votes cast, compared to former President Mohamed Usman, who polled 17%. Both scores fall short of the required 50% for outright presidential victory. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
To legislative matters now. The Senate is considering a bill that seeks to prohibit casualization in workplaces with reports of alleged victimization and unfavorable working conditions for workers in this category, making the rounds. National Assembly correspondent Ignatius Nkwo tells us the stage of this bill.
Reduced job security and motivation, forced self-negotiation with management and seemingly exploitative bargaining process are some of the byproducts of casualization in workplaces. The Senate is much more worried that this trend, if allowed to continue, will cripple the spirit of Nigeria's productive population and damage its labor image at the global scene. This necessitated the introduction of a bill that seeks to prohibit casualization in all forms of employment in private and public sectors, protect vulnerable workers, and impose sanction on defaulters. The bill, sponsored by Senator Patrick Akinyelure, has passed second reading.
In banking and insurance industry, for instance, many young graduates, particularly female, are employed as marketers and given unrealistic customer deposit ceiling target.
In the oil industry, it's the same story, Mr. President. And it must not be allowed to stand any longer in Nigeria.
We must give our people security, we must give our people the right to the dignity.
Where an opportunity now arises for them to do a formal employment of workers, they ignore them, retain them as casual workers, and go to retain people who are brand new.
Some of the senators are of the view that a blanket law on casualization might be counterproductive.
For the public sector, I agree, but for the private sector, I think we should be very careful. Otherwise, we will increase the unemployment rate in this country.
Some of the issues being raised here are actually already addressed in the labor law. Part of the problem is lack of implementation.
While government cannot employ everyone, we have the responsibility to create the environment, the climate, for employment opportunities to be available.
The bill for an act to provide legal framework for the establishment of federal medical centers, sponsored by Senator Aishatu Dahiru, passed second reading. The bill seeks to give legal backing to the existing federal medical centers across the country.
We need improvement to the health information system, regular and sustainable population and health facility-based survey.
The University of Broadcasting and Film Studies JOS Establishment Bill, sponsored by Senator Istifanus Gyang, passed first reading. Senate has confirmed the nomination of Victor Morako for appointment as chairman of the Fiscal Responsibility Commission, with a call for the president to constitute board of the commission. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives has urged supervising ministries to ensure due process in dealings with agencies under their purview. This was the point of emphasis when the Committee on Public Procurement commenced investigations into allegations of undue interference by the Ministry of Science and Technology on the activities of Project Development Institute, Enugu. National Assembly correspondent Bamiali reports.
The investigative hearing is sequel to a resolution of the House last week following allegations of procurement deception and staff victimization at the Project Development Institute (PRODA) in Enugu, in which Ministry of Science and Technology and Bureau of Public Procurement, among others, were implicated. House Committee on Public Procurement was mandated to carry out the assignments.
For the purpose of bringing about good governance and bringing about the dividends of democracy to the doorsteps of the people.
The Public Procurement Act 2007 was enacted to curb the excesses found in the award and execution of government contracts and the sheer inadequacy of existing regulations.
The Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Science and Technology, Ede Takpan, and the suspended Director General of PRUDA, Charles Agulana, made submissions before the committee.
For suspension and the handover to Engineer Dr. Isoriak, who came from the ministry, signed by the Permanent Secretary.
The committee directed the Permanent Secretary and the Acting DG of PRUDA to appear next Wednesday. Meanwhile, the House Committee on Public Accounts says subsidiaries of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, should, in line with constitutional provisions, come and provide details on financial activities as raised by the Office of the Auditor General of the Federation. It was when the NNPC submitted and defended its audited financial report from 2014 to 2019. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
And we hear that the immediate past service chiefs as non-carrier ambassadorial nominees have promised to promote foreign policies that will help in the fight against insecurity, in the country. This was in their responses at the screening exercise by the Senate Committee on Foreign Affairs. National Assembly correspondent Abdullahi Aminu has more.
Explanations on the role of the ambassadorial nominees while in the military service marked the commencement of the screening exercise. The former service chiefs briefed the committee on how to improve Nigeria's fight against insecurity.
It is a multifaceted approach. Everyone has to come on board for us to be able to address the security. There were political, social, economic factors that need to be addressed from the beginning.
Appropriate actions were taken to ensure that we return back to what was the desired objective of the armed forces.
I think we have repositioned the service sufficiently enough, and with what we are expecting to come in, we should be able to address most of these problems we are facing.
Intelligence is such that you do not even see it. You only feel it. And that is one unique thing about intelligence.
The screening was a platform for cross-fertilization of ideas on the foreign policy needed to adequately confront Nigeria's security challenges and the role of military diplomacy.
Take a bow and we wish you the best of luck, and we keep track of where you will be.
From the National Assembly, Abdullahi Aminu, NTA News.
The Nigeria Police Force has restated commitment to the safe rescue of all abducted students of Government Science College, Kagara, in Rafi local government area of Niger State and other related incidents. A statement by the force indicates that a joint search and rescue mission involving the police, military and other law enforcement agencies is ongoing to ensure that all abducted persons are rescued unhurt and reunited with their families. The Inspector General of Police, while calling for calm, enjoins members of the community to provide the police and the security community with relevant and timely information that can assist in the ongoing search and rescue operations. Some glimmer of hope now as the only escapee from the Kagara abduction, Caleb Ismail, is already striving to overcome the trauma, saying that his recent experience will not deter him from pursuing his education. Abdullahi Mohammed caught up with him while he was receiving treatment for wounds sustained in his escape from the abductors.
Caleb Ismail is from a village miles away from Kagara, but he has a mighty dream that sent him to school at Government Science Secondary School, Kagara. But an encounter with the abductors left him with scars that could be of a lifetime. He was lucky to have escaped by the whiskers, but his friend Habila was shot dead.
But they tell us, if you cannot stop, I can shoot you. But they has already started running, but they are shooting him in the head.
This ugly incident sent shivers of shocks to the family of his bosom friend.
I say we feel so bad. We are there sitting down, mourning, receiving the condolence visits from our neighbors and well wishers.
Many others are yearning to see that their loved ones are released.
We no even sleep since that very yesterday. Up to now, we are struggling, looking for how we are going to see them.
Though families and friends of those abducted at Government Science School Kagara yesterday may be reeling in pains, but the most important thing is that efforts are being intensified to ensure that their loved ones are brought back into their arms once again. In Kagara, Rafi local government area of Niger State, Abdullah Muhammad, NTA News.
Still talking security, troops of Operation Tertiary Bango, a subsidiary operation of Operation Lafia Dole in the northeast, have eliminated 2 Boko Haram and Islamic State of West Africa province terrorists at their meeting point in Bayomari town in Yobe State. A statement by the Director Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Mohammed Yerima, says on 16 February 2021 at about 5 p.m, troops acting on information about the movement of terrorists to Bayomari conducted a joint patrol in conjunction with the Civilian Joint Task Force. Brigadier General Yerima notes that several of the terrorists escaped with bullet wounds, while a large cache of arms and ammunition were recovered. The army commends the troops for their dedication in flushing out remnants of the terrorists from their hideouts. Meanwhile, in Bauchi, the Rapid Response Squad of the Nigeria Police Force has recovered a reserve of live ammunition in a building in, Bauchi Metropolis. Mahmoud Ibn Mohammed reports that the house where the discovery was made has been demolished.
These are men at work, but not to fix, rather to destroy a structure where a cache of live ammunition was discovered.
These are the 204 live ammunition that was recovered in that house in Kofadumi. During our second search, we recovered 144 live ammunition of the MG again.
It's a very serene suburb. It is made up of people that are literally going about, everyday people, literally going about their own, various businesses, trying to eke out a living. And then boom, you have this very worrisome discovery.
Concealed in a sack alongside a set of paramilitary uniform, 4 persons have been arrested as suspects.
Namely Adamu Suleiman, Mohammed Sanusi, Abba Sayidu, Yakubu Ahmed. All of them were living in Bauchi State Metropolitan.
With investigations still ongoing, the police command has called on the public to be wary of strangers within their communities. In Bauchi, Mahmoud Ibn Muhammad, NTA News.
You're watching NTA Network News. Time for some messages. Stay with us.
I don't know what else to say, but I'm sick and tired of complaining and speculating.
They keep telling us we are the leaders of tomorrow. Our time will come.
But you know what? Our time is now.
The time is now to drive better governance.
The time is now to get involved. It's youth o'clock. We must take our rightful position.
As for me, a vibrant female amputee, APC have shown me my limitations are only my imaginations and has given me a chance to prove my strength.
So for me and my family,
we are going to register to join APC.
Today.
Why APC? With the signing of the Not Too Young to Run bill into law, APC has proven itself as the only youth-friendly party.
I am Governor Yabelo of Kogi State, Chairman, Youth, Women and People Living with Disabilities Mobilization and Sensitization Committee of the APC Membership Registration and Revalidation Exercise 2021. And I approve this message.
Mimi, where's your mommy?
A major part of being a parent is being present.
I struck out, and the winner is Mimi Idris.
you want to be. Call 0700 AXA Mansard today to speak to an AXA financial advisor.
John, you can use our toilet now.
Ew! My mommy said I should always use a toilet that is cleaned with Hypo toilet cleaner. James will bite my bone.
John, what's the problem? Use Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Introducing the new and affordable Hypo Toilet Cleaner. Kills germs and deodorizes your toilet.
This is the Wilson family last week. This is the Wilson family this week. What's changed? What? The Wilson family got maximum entertainment for less, and now they're closer than ever. Your family can be too.
How does this work?
With world-class international channels that put the quality back in your quality time.
That's what I'm talking about.
GoTV Max will bring you and your family closer in no time. So upgrade to GoTV Max for only 2,999 naira today. Make you enjoy. GoTV. Love it.
The second wave of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic is upon us.
To safeguard lives of our people, government has signed the health protection regulations, which makes wearing a face mask mandatory in public places.
Wear a mask. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water. And use hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is real. Do not be infected. Do not spread it. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
After sharing the spoils in their last meeting, Southampton will be looking to secure all 3 points when they welcome the Blues to St. Mary's. This Saturday, it's Southampton versus Chelsea on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Papai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Go.com.
Let's head to business now. Products value addition key to encouraging export in Nigeria. Let's hear more on business news with Chumobi Walter Naji. Chumobi, rather, a pinch of good news for Nigeria. I mean, we're exiting recession.
Well, that's true, even though we're slightly exiting recession looking at the figures coming out from the MBS, but I'm sure we'll leave that for the experts to do justice to that. And the federal government, through the Nigerian Export and Import Bank, is set to ensure standards of commodities to be traded in the African Continental Free Trade Market.
To find Nigerian produce that we can export to the world. Export to the world also means exporting to our neighbors. And for all of us, what we use is the same thing that they use in Cotonou. It's the same use they use in Niger. Given that we want to encourage even manufactured goods to be exported out of Nigeria, it is key that various standards along the value chain.
In the meantime, we'll look to the capital market, where the bearish trend continued to characterize the market for the week. The market closed Thursday shedding 0.63% after taking on an all-share index of 40,212.19 basis points. 4,972 deals were traded, value at 4.7 billion naira. Market capitalization closed at 21.03 trillion naira. And now, the FBN Holdings, Zenith Bank, and Dangote Sugar were among the top traded equities. And that's the business news. The network news continues with Joseph Johnson.
Thank you, Chumobi. All right, let's still talk business. Efforts to rejig Nigeria's economy and pull it from the doldrums occasioned by the coronavirus pandemic has paid off, with the country's emergence from recession in the fourth quarter of 2020. Experts say this was achieved by growing Nigeria's gross domestic product by 0.11%. compared with a decline of 3.6% in the third quarter. Benny Adams has details.
Figures from the National Bureau of Statistics and the International Monetary Fund data reveals that Nigeria's economy returned to growth after 2 consecutive quarters of contraction. Despite oil production falling to 1.56 million barrels a day in the fourth quarter from 1.67 million barrels in the previous 3 months, and crude contributing less than 10% to the country's GDP, Nigeria expectedly exits recession. Experts are of the view that, with the feat recorded, Nigeria's economy is showing signs of faster recovery than expected, as oil prices and output are also on the increase this year. The growing dominance of the non-oil sector is also tipped to contribute to the growth. The federal government's growth forecast for this year is 3% and doubles that of the IMF. In Abuja, Benny Adams, NTA News.
To speak more on this, we have in the studio Uche Waleke, a professor of capital market, and he's also the president, Capital Market Academics of Nigeria. Professor, thank you for joining us on NTA Network News.
Thank you very much, Joseph. My pleasure.
So this was anticipated, wasn't it? As with the anticipation that recovery will be slow but hopefully steady. Now, what macroeconomic and structural reforms can the government immediately consolidate to make the economy less vulnerable, if you like, and the recovery faster?
Yes, I must say, first, let me say it's cheering news, especially coming on the heels of the emergence of Okonjo-Iweala as the DG of the WTO. Another good news coming from Nigeria.
Yes.
So he's sending positive message out there to multilateral institutions, to investment banks, to rating agencies, that the economy is resilient and that the country has the capability to withstand economic shocks. Now, talking about what to do to sustain it. If you look at the numbers, the non-oil sector was the game changer. The non-oil sector actually saved the day because it turned positive 1.69%. Compared to the negative performance in Q3. Okay, so in spite of the fact that the oil sector deteriorated further, okay, one major lesson for me is that this country can actually stand do without oil. Because the oil sector fell by over 19%, but the non-oil sector, managed to, wriggle out some positives, which is why the economy today has turned the corner, has come out of recession. So, and if you look at the non-oil sector, the champions there really the ICT, information and communications, that contributes about 15% to GDP. The agri sector too, that contributed about 24% to GDP. Agri sector in particular, I must single out because this is one sector that was just around 1.39 in Q3, but in Q4, agri sector has posted 3.42%. So for me, that's remarkable. The real estate sector too, with 6% to GDP, also putting around 2.49%. So although some sectors too are still in a negative territory, but if you look at their numbers too, they have actually moderated from where they were previously. So I think going forward, we need to look more towards the non-oil sector.
Exactly. I was just about to say that because we've been talking and working, towards having a Nigeria beyond, oil for quite some time now. Yes. And the rest of the world is moving ahead of fossil fuel. Isn't the, imperatives for diversification, even now more glaring, given the pandemic and other dynamics at play?
Very correct. But let me also quickly say this, that in view of the fact that that sector still accounts for over 90% of, forex, okay, it's still an important sector. Okay, because if you noticed, the part of why the oil sector fell was because of crude oil production. Crude oil output actually fell to just 1.56 million barrels per day. In first quarter of 2020, it was over 2 million barrels per day. Then came down to 1.8, then 1.6 in the third quarter, and now 1.56. So you notice, a deterioration in crude oil output. And that's in spite of the fact that oil price, showed strong performance in the last quarter of 2020. We still had that dismal performance of the oil sector. The point I'm making is this: yes, we'll need money from the oil sector to actually put into the non-oil sector to make it grow, because access to forex is one major challenge that the non-oil sector is having. But again, that also means that we have to work on the non-oil sector to be able to now generate that forex, so that we can change that disproportionate share that the oil sector is always bringing. So for me, what's important is to continue these interventions in agriculture, because I must also say that part of why we had this performance in agriculture has to do with the interventions, especially by the Central Bank of Nigeria. So we need to continue the interventions in agriculture, and the productive sector in particular. And okay. I must emphasize that going forward, sustaining this growth, this momentum, would also mean ensuring that it is inclusive in the sense that unemployment rate comes down. Okay. At 27% is too high, and for that to happen, the private sector has to be enabled. Okay.
All right.
Enabling the private sector means access to credit, access to forex, and putting in place enabling environment, especially infrastructure.
I'm afraid we're going to have to leave it there for now. We will continue these discussions on our subsequent newscast and of course broadcast. So thank you very much indeed for shedding light on that.
Thank you, Joseph. Thank you. My pleasure.
All right, let's move on now. Members of the National Economic Council this Thursday at its meeting in Abuja with Vice President Yemi Osinbajo presiding made a commitment to compensate victims of clashes and also work towards prevention of further crises in communities. The council spent over 6 hours reviewing the social intervention program aimed at pulling 100 million Nigerians out of poverty. The National Integrated Infrastructure Master Plan reviewed the current security situation and implementation of community policing in states. State House correspondent Jide Onifade reports.
The Council recommitted to the following principles: the protection of all residents of all states, including non-indigenous communities and religious and ethnic minorities within state jurisdictions, the arrest and prosecution of all perpetrators of crime. In collaboration with federal authorities, the reconstruction of destroyed homes and payment of compensation where appropriate by state authorities for damage to property and livelihoods sustained during targeted attacks on communities within the state jurisdictions.
Governor Dapo Abiodun speaking on some of the resolutions of the council after the physical meeting which reviewed the security situation in the country. Among the resolutions are that state governments have statutory jurisdiction over forest reserves and will seek federal support for efforts to eradicate forest-based crime.
We have to be unanimous and resolute against crime and criminality, irrespective of whom it is committed by. So state governors are unanimous on that. We are going to support each other, support our security agencies, work with the federal government to ensure that crime and criminality are punished.
Council also resolved to strengthen the nation's monitoring of its borders to prevent cross-border crimes. Presentation from the Presidential Advisory Council underscores the need for everyone to get involved in having a better country.
Poverty eradication is everybody's responsibility, and it should be at the heart of any national development agenda.
The chairman of INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, also made a presentation to the council on the need to expand voter access to polling units across the country. Council resolved to support the Commission's bid to convert polling booths to full-fledged polling units and work out the details of doing so at the state levels.
One critical issue Council is drawing the attention of Nigerians to is fake news. This is described as next to coronavirus pandemic. And it is observed that this is causing so much harm, and now is the best time to end it. From the banquet hall of the State House, Jide.
That's Jide Onifade with the report. The Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, says Nigeria is on its journey to energy independence and security, given the enhanced refining capacity of an indigenous modular refinery at Ogbele, Rivers State. Director and Chief Executive Officer of DPR, Sarki Alwalu, said this while on facility tour of the Niger Delta Petroleum Resources modular refinery. Kingsley Amajiri reports.
After 60 years of oil and gas exploration, production and refining, the nation is witnessing transformation in the industry with the licensing of more modular refineries spearheaded by indigenous firms. Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, as the regulator, is at this facility to ascertain the level of compliance of NDPR modular refinery with the rules of engagement.
We create the business of oil and gas and ensure that it is sustained. I am calling on Nigerians to come invest in this sector. So we do believe that the private sector, if they take initiative like what NDPR is doing, the issue of product security will be strengthened and the product scarcity will be history.
The NDPR modular refinery, currently refining at 6,000 barrels per day capacity, is set to unveil its Train 3, which will bring the total company's refining capacity to 11,000 barrels per day.
Compliance to DPR regulations had also become a very significant part of our existence, and we adhered strictly to that. And I think the only way we could do all these things was maintaining a very, very small footprint. So we have learned to do many things at the same spot.
With the company currently producing and processing crude oil, gas, and refining PMS, DPK, AGO, and LPG, all local content driven, DPR said it is poised to registering more modular refineries that will help increase the nation's refining capacity towards self-sufficiency in the industry. In Port Harcourt, Kingsley Amajiri, NTA News.
The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, has commiserated with victims of Borno IDP camp fire disaster, which occurred in the early hours of Wednesday. A statement issued by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry, Bashir Noura Al-Khali, quotes the Minister as saying it was unfortunate that the inferno claimed 3 lives, 2 adults and an infant, with about 3,600 IDPs affected and hundreds of shelters razed. The minister has directed that the cause of the fire be investigated to forestall further occurrences and advised that cooking inside the makeshift homes be discouraged. She also commended the chairperson of the State Emergency Management Agency and other SEMA officials who paid prompt visit to the camp to sympathize with the victims and directed that relief materials be dispatched to the camp to cushion the effect of the incident. Borno State government is seeking the support of the federal government to restore power supply to local government areas ravished by insurgency in the state. This came to the fore when Governor Babagana Umar Zulum met with the Minister of Power, Saleh Maman, in Abuja. Joshua Ojito reports.
With many local councils in Borno State now without electricity for 6 months, Having the issue addressed was the reason Governor Babagana Umara Zulum met with Minister of Power Saleh Mamman, where he sought for urgent intervention of federal government. The intervention, he noted, was to augment the effort of the state government, as it recently unveiled a 25-year development plan with power supply critical for its implementation. Also important to the state government is the reconnection of Maiduguri-Damaturu power line, which the Minister of Power said work on it will soon be completed.
We are going to increase our lines of 330 and also 132 just to give you more supply in the states.
Right now, contract has been awarded for the procurement of iron falls that will ensure transmission of electricity from Maiduguri to Dikwa to Gamborongala, as well as from Maiduguri to Goza. I want to fast-track the entire process. I want to show some commitment to the Ministry of Power that Borno State government is providing some counterpart support.
While federal government said plans are underway to addressing power challenge in Borno State, more rural communities in the state will also benefit from the solar-powered project, expected to connect 25 million households in the country. In Abuja, Joshua Ojitu, NTA News.
And the people of Mbela Lagaje in Belwa local government area of Adamawa State are now to enjoy power supply for the first time following inauguration of a 30 kilowatt solar hybrid mini-grid by the Rural Electrification Agency of Nigeria. Simon Asha reports.
Inception in Mbela Lagaje community in Modular local government area of Adamawa State over 100 years ago, it has been bedeviled with lack of basic necessities of life, especially potable drinking water and electricity. However, the narrative has now changed for the better, as the community can now boast of electricity, and thanks to the Rural Electrification Agency for the intervention, as Saidu Abakar, a resident of Mbela Lagaje village, now enjoys light at the comfort of his home for the first time in his life. Ahmad Sahijo Ahmad, the Managing Director of Rural Electrification Agency, says the gesture is to bring development close to the people, especially rural dwellers.
I therefore challenge the good people of Mbela Lagaje to optimize the possibilities and to create these opportunities that will value for all the members of the community.
Governor Ahmad Omar Finthir of Adamawa State, represented by the Commissioner of Works and Energy, Adamu Atiku, and the Chairman, Senate Committee on Power, Gabriel Suswan, also represented by Senator Aisha Dairi Binani, were inaugurating the solar hybrid mini-grid, commended the federal government and urged the benefiting community to make good use of the project.
For me, this is what truly equity feels like. When the government is in the center and it ensures that development impact is evident in the nooks and crannies of the country.
The Managing Director, Rural Electrification Agency, was also at the Palace of Agro, Mayabalwa, Mame Bamangadali, and a homage in Yola, Simon Asha, NTA News.
The federal government has commenced revamping of federal teaching hospitals across the country, among other reforms in the health sector. The Minister of State for Health stated this at the swearing-in ceremony of foreign-trained medical and dental graduates by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria. Ekene Ndulwe reports.
I will practice my profession with conscience and dignity.
These inductees are medical and dental graduates trained in various foreign institutions, and this swearing-in ceremony is one of the requirements for them to practice in Nigeria. For 28-year-old Alade Habibullahi and his peers, being part of this event is a dream come true.
You can't stay your life in the UK, you can't stay your life in the US, but sometimes you want to come back to Nigeria, and without this you can't work here.
We are ready to give our culture in order to develop our people.
This induction means, I can say it means the world to me, because I've wanted to be a doctor since childhood.
And the good news for Alade and his colleagues is the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Adeleke Mamora's submission that the federal government is working towards ensuring affordable healthcare system for all Nigerians.
Federal Ministry of Health and the Budget Office of the Federation have approved in this year's budget funds for the payments of house officers, by the Medical and Dental Council of Nigeria, effective from January 2021.
So now they've been given temporary license and they will be supervised for the last 12 months by specialists in various specialties.
This is just the beginning of their career in the professions. They should take it seriously. If they want to become incompetent doctors, it's from now. If they want to become more competent, it's from now.
1,021 graduates were inducted in Abuja. Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
In the meantime, National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, has given approval for the emergency use of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine and the COVID-19 vaccine dossier from Serum Institute of India to serve as emergency vaccination for Nigeria after due consideration and examination. Chumobi Walter Naji reports that approval was given accelerated consideration following the emergency use listing by the World Health Organization and other frontline countries.
The World Health Organization's approval for the AstraZeneca vaccine for emergency use listing based on quality, safety and vaccine efficacy, countries around the world are taking the initiative to domesticate the vaccine protocols. National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, is taking the lead in Africa with the approval given for the emergency use of 2 vaccines for Nigeria. The Director General NAFDAC, Professor Modular Adeye, while briefing newsmen on the new development in Abuja, noted that the agency has taken steps to ensure post-marketing pharmacovigilance and surveillance of the vaccines.
The vaccines that COVAX facility has, all countries that are eligible for the donation for the free vaccines will also be eligible for access to the dossiers. So we have the Pfizer BioNTech dossier right now. We got that yesterday. We may use it, we may not use it in Nigeria because we
are not diverted and forestall the infiltration of fake vaccines into the system. In Abuja, Chimubi Walter Naji, NTA News.
Let's now join Hinguno in our Lagos Network Center for more stories. Hinguno.
Thank you, Joseph. The fight against COVID-19 in Nigeria is gaining more support with the distribution of more ventilators by Nigerian doctors in diaspora. The project is championed by the Nigerian Institute of Medical Research to assist patients with respiratory conditions across the country.
Continuous positive airways pressure machines, CPAP, is a compatible machine and non-invasive ventilator designed to save patients with respiratory-related issues in critical conditions. As an alternative to oxygen support system, this equipment, one of the most sought after globally, aids the fight against COVID-19.
Up to 30 to 50 liters of oxygen can stay inside it, so that the individual will have enough oxygen to breathe in. And that may prevent them from getting worse to requiring the other ventilator where you have to invasively intubate the patient.
This is the second phase of the distribution process provided by Nigerian doctors in the diaspora. Medical personnel drawn from across the country have already been trained on its operations.
The project becomes a flagship project. It becomes a implementation blueprint, essentially a playbook by which other nations that have the same similar challenges to Nigeria.
We are bringing out data, information that we collected on the patient that used the machine, and then we are going to analyze the data and then bring out a report scientifically, which may even be useful to the international community.
With these 140 CPAP ventilators, it is hoped that the burden of oxygen plants across the country will be reduced. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakiri, NTA News.
Meanwhile, as the battle against COVID-19 continues in the era of the second wave and mutation of the virus, Dr. Ogunyemi was on the streets of Lagos to examine why residents nonchalantly defy COVID-19 protocols in spite of existing punitive measures.
From the streets of Lagos to the isolation wards across hospitals, many wrestling with shortage of oxygen to cater for patients battling the disease, COVID-19 still remains a potent threat to lives and livelihoods in the mega city. The need to make daily income, which naturally attracts people to the bustling city, makes daily interactions for economic and social necessity impossible in a clustered center of several commercial hubs. This further compounds the spread of the deadly virus, as figures published today by the Nigeria Center for Disease Control shows that more than 53,000 cases have been recorded as at the 17th of February. Although safety protocols are still in place, the level of compliance has been on a decline, posing a major challenge to Nigeria's ability to contain the virus, as the first batch of vaccines are still being expected in country.
Well, the guideline that has been released by our task force is really important so we could be safe.
They say prevention is better than cure. We should not have a nonchalant attitudes towards the various guidelines. We have to keep social distancing, we have to wash our hands, we have to keep our environment clean.
As the awareness for improved compliance to safety protocols continue, the National Agency for Food, Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, recently announced its approval for the use of Oxford AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine for use in Nigeria. In Lagos, Dr. Ogunyemi, NTA News.
It's now time for some messages. The news continues after that.
We just having a good time, and I'm feeling so good.
Where you did? I dey come now. You go see me now. You go.
Call your party and everybody, yeah. Make we start to the corner.
Where you did now? You go see me now.
Everybody they dance.
Where you did now? You go see me now. I'm fine, sir. Even me, I surprised.
Hey, where you at?
Hello, how are you?
Tell us one truth nobody knows.
I like to steam it from my mama's pot.
The best data plans in town. Dial *777#.
It is time for celebration. 30 years bustling with goodness. No challenge can ever stop us. You can't underrate us. You can't underrate. Bustling with so much greatness. Enjoy our world of
sharing the spoils in their last meeting, Southampton will be looking to secure all 3 points when they welcome the Blues to St. Mary's. This Saturday, it's Southampton versus Chelsea on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up, in association with Gold.com.
The Executive Secretary, Border Communities Development Agency, Captain Junaid Abdullah, says the agency will execute developmental projects that will better the lives of the people, especially communities living along the borders. The Executive Secretary said this at the inauguration and handing over of a primary health care centre and motorised borehole constructed by the agency at Gurin in Fufure local government area of Adamawa State. Abdullah Ayuba Daulwa tells us more.
Primary Healthcare Center constructed by the Border Communities Development Agency with a 30-bed space capacity is aimed at addressing healthcare service needs of the people in Gurin Fufore local government area of Adamawa State and the neighboring communities of Cameroon Republic. Inaugurating the project, the executive secretary of the agency, Captain Junaid Abdullahi, said he is satisfied with the quality of work done.
The agency has finally done so for the community. It's our pleasure today that we are able to come here and inaugurate this project and handing it over to the Adamawa State government.
He said the agency from 2015 to 2020 executed 58 projects in Adamawa and promised to do more in 2021 as captured in the budget. Speakers from the benefiting communities, among others, at the occasion applauded the federal government for executing the project in the area and solicited for more developmental projects.
We appreciate the Border Communities Development Agency for constructing this health facility.
The delegation visited Governor Amadou Umaru Fintiri, where the governor promised all necessary support to the agency. In Yola, Abdullahi Ayubadalwa, NTA News.
As part of efforts to take full control of the Nigerian borders against infiltration by illegal migrants and criminally minded persons, the Nigerian Immigration Service is introducing cutting-edge technologies for information gathering and sharing at the inauguration of Forward Operation Base in Akwa Ibom State. Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Mohammed Babandede, said the federal government has given enough support to the service, hence it must deliver on its mandate. Clemens Barakwi reports.
The new Forward Operation Base located at Afarofyong, Nsiribom local government area is equipped with state-of-the-art facilities, a clinic, communication center and armory. It is one of the many investments in security and will complement the strategic security tactics of other security agencies in Akwa Ibom State, particularly in the area of information sharing. Comptroller General of the Nigerian Immigration Service, Mohammed Babandede, said the service is re-strategizing its operations in line with the mandate and support it has received from the President Buhari-led administration.
There has never been a time a government has shown interest in Nigerian Immigration Service like this time. A lot of investment on border security, because a safe nation is a nation that has a safe border.
When the services work in unison, every one of us is a beneficiary.
This facility is not only contemporary, but also a tonic for officers and men for efficient service delivery.
The Forward Operation Base is the first by the Nigerian Immigration Service and the second facility to be inaugurated by the service in Akwa Ibom State in recent time. In Akwa Ibom State, Clement Barakui, NTA News.
Let's get a story from Suleiman in Kaduna.
And welcome. Internal political rivalry and lack of continuity between successive administrations in Nigeria have been identified as factors responsible for the slow pace of development in all sectors. Governor Aminu Bello Masari of Katsina State made this observation at the inauguration of road projects in Kiawa local government area of Jigawa State. Muhammad Musa Askira has details.
Guest Governor stated that President Muhammadu Buhari has set an example for the present and future leaders, particularly in the area of continuity in project execution initiated by the past administrations. Doing so, according to him, has led to prudent management of state resources, saving for the governments and reduction of resource wastages for the governments at all levels. Bello Masari described Governor Muhammadu Badru Abubakar of Jigawa State as perfect students of President Muhammadu Buhari's School of Thought for his remarkable achievements, especially in the area of road infrastructure, most of which were initiated by his predecessors.
This is significant because if we want progress, we want development, there must be continuation. Individuals come and go, but developments are continuous because the people and the state will continue to be here and will continue to enjoy whatever developmental efforts have been put in place.
to thank President Muhammad Buhari for all his support and guidance, without which it would have been very, very, very difficult to do this project. He has supported us tremendously, and I've been saying it in many occasions.
Buhari administration has constructed more than 1,500 kilometers of regional, feeder and township roads across the state in the last 6 years at a cost of over 150 billion naira. From Dute, Muhammad Musa Askira, NTA News.
And with that report, it's back to Joseph for more in Abuja.
Thank you, Suleiman. The death has been announced of Brigadier General Joseph Olufemi Williams, retired, aged 78. Brigadier General Olufemi passed on after a brief illness on the 2nd of February 2021. He survived by his wife Eunice Williams, 4 children, 5 grandchildren and relatives. And that's NTA Network News for tonight. Thank you very much indeed for watching. I'm Joseph Johnson. Remember to always connect with the NTA to stand against rape and rapists. Good night.
You can follow us on all our social media platforms: Facebook at NTA Network News, Instagram at NTA Network, Twitter at NTA News Now, YouTube at NTA News Online. Or visit www.nta.ng. For live streaming, visit www.nta.ng/live. Now, you can stay updated on the go, be it on your TV, iPhone, laptop or iPad, or download the NTA mobile application from your Play Store or App Store. NTA, you can beat the rich.
This is the network service of the NTA.
The broadcast media ecosystem is dynamic and requires continuous training for practitioners to perform optimally. NTA TV College Jos invites relevant officers to the following specially packaged training programs. Intermediate online news reporting skills. Date 1st March to 12th March 2021. 2 weeks. Studio lighting indoor and outdoor. Date 1st March to 5th March 2021. 1 week. Modern trends in broadcast media marketing. Date 15th March to 9th April 2021. 4 weeks. Understanding public service rules and mastering the art of standard minute writing, reports, memoranda, and briefs. Date 15th February to 12th March 2021. 4 weeks. The course fee for the 4-week courses is 100,000 naira per participant. The fee for the 2-week course is 80,000 naira, while the course fee for the 1-week course is 40,000 naira only. Accommodation inclusive. Venue for all the courses is the serene and secure environment of NTA TV College near Old Government House, Rayfield, Jos. For more inquiries, please call 0803-314-4383 or 0806-980-9807. NTA TV College, Jos, training you to be the best you want to be.
Although social media as a channel of communication is inherently harmless, it becomes harmful and damaging when used without discretion and thoughtfulness. Bad social media users spread rumors and fake news without verification. But good social media users stop, reflect, and verify information before sharing it. Be a good social media user. Stop the spread of fake news. Verify the authenticity of your source and use social media responsibly for a better Nigeria. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA, in collaboration with the National Orientation Agency.
After sharing the spoils in their last meeting, Southampton will be looking to secure all 3 points when they welcome the Blues to St. Mary's. This Saturday, it's Southampton versus Chelsea on the Premier League Live, showing on the network service of the NTA from 1:30 p.m. The Premier League Live is brought to you by Axis Bank, Babai Jebu, Lipton, and Close Up in association with Gold.com.
The second wave of the coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic is upon us.
To safeguard lives of our people, government has signed the health protection regulations, which makes wearing a face mask mandatory in public places.
Wear a mask. Keep social and physical distancing. Avoid crowded places. Wash your hands regularly with soap and clean water. And use hand sanitizer.
COVID-19 is real. Do not be infected. Do not spread it. This message is brought to you by the Nigerian Television Authority, NTA.
On the 24th of September 2020, the Tertiary Education Trust Fund inaugurated its Standing Committee on Research and Development. This was a major step in the paradigm shift of the interventionist agency, which elevates research for development to be at par with infrastructure development. The reasoning for this significant step is the realization that a country cannot develop without making the appropriate investment in knowledge and content within its tertiary institutions that would convert them into a vital tool for innovation, feeding industry by improving products and services.
I am a believer in the gospel as preached by our President and Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammad Buhari, GCFR, that research and our continued investment in it will herald a rebirth of a Nigeria that works for all of us. It is a recognition of this direction that the Executive Secretary at Tech Fund presented his vision for a research-driven nation. It is possible that we may stay as big as we are and be good for nothing. But it's also possible that we'll be big and challenge ourselves to do more. This is the invitation that Professor Bogoro has laid out in the excellently worded document he has presented us this morning.
To achieve this goal, TEPFund applies the triple helix method, which creates a close bond between government, the academia, and industry. The Standing Committee, or RDSC, as it's known for short, is made up of men and women of pedigree, drawn from all critical sectors of the academics and the economy.
Overall, the academics are in the majority. But I can't remember in recent time a collection of academia and industry that has some of the very best, including chief executives of some of the most profound research institutes that are supposed to define and represent the future of our country in the context of knowledge economy in the 21st century. I want to acknowledge all of you. The great job you've done is deeply appreciated.
5 months after the inauguration, the RDSC had carried out extensive work by closely examining 13 thematic areas, which form a foundation upon which our economic revolution can be built. The thematic areas reflect the objectives of the Sustainable Development Goals set by the World Bank.
These 13 sector-based thematic areas include agriculture, that includes, of course, climate change, food security, food science and technology, etc. environment and biosciences. 3, medicine,